Mabuhay, and this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Why more U.S. men are falling victim to Japan's antisocial Hikikomori trend. Now, this will tie in with low testosterone and relationships and a tie into the United States and how people have been becoming over here. And none of it is good for people, none of it's good for marriage. And this comes from a Men's Health article from the New York Post just a little bit ago, June of this year, 2023. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea. I want to talk about, relationship issues, marriage issues. I'm married a Filipina. Things I say would help you, regardless of who you married. In Japan, an estimated 1.5 million people, many of whom young men, now live in complete isolation. This problem has grown so severe that the Japanese have a term for it, Hikikomori, one who literally withdraws from society. Kind of sounds like the men going their own way movement of a few years ago. Some 6,000 miles away, the United States is experiencing its own form of Hikikomori. During a recent interview with Chris Williamson, a British podcaster based in Austin, Texas, the political economist Nicholas Eberstadt discussed the fact that 7 million men of prime working age are currently without employment, not even seeking jobs. Many of these men, this is in the United States, said Eberstadt, spend inordinate amounts of time indoors, excuse me, totally withdrawn from society. I still have that cough. They play video games, watch pornography, that's a bad thing for relationships, and tend to engage in heavy drug use, according to the author of Men Without Work. Work carried out by academics at Kyushu University in Japan has found that a low testosterone level is one of the common metabolic signatures of Hikikomori in young social recluses. That's why I'm going to use the term antisocial behavior with this. And this is important to note because testosterone levels among young American men are plummeting and have been for years. And now they say this drop affects about 1 in 4 men in the United States. It's commonly assumed that testosterone fuels antisocial behavior. That's what some people think. But that is not necessarily true. In December, Avatar director James Cameron made headlines when he claimed that testosterone is, quote, a toxin that needs to be worked out of one's system. I couldn't disagree more. Last month, NPR discussed the association between toxic masculinity and testosterone. But this belief is not supported by science. There is no strong evidence to suggest that men with higher levels of testosterone are overly aggressive or violent. On the contrary, continuing with this article, testosterone has been linked to more social behavior in males, more social behavior, while low testosterone levels in males are associated with social anxiety and socially submissive or avoidant behaviors. People with social anxiety are at an increased risk of developing depression. Moreover, according to the Cleveland Clinic, low testosterone levels often mimic symptoms of depression. And it says here, research carried out by Dr. David Terberg, an expert in human behavior, has shown the many ways in which testosterone improves both individual behavior and broader cooperation. In one study, he and his colleagues identified a clear association between the administration of testosterone, that would be from an outside source, and increased levels of social cooperation and better moral judgment. and I was just going to get to this or say this myself, but low testosterone, otherwise known as hypogonadism, meanwhile was associated with brain fog, poor memory and focus, and an overall lack of mental clarity. Men lacking testosterone are also at increased risk of noticeably larger breasts, a condition known as gynecomastia. Now, that's all I want to say about that, because the main point of this was the isolation, the social withdrawal that men are experiencing here in the United States. And since I'm someone that, well, I like to be healthy and learn about health, and I'm glad I got married, and I want to help other people get married. To me, as bad as I felt being single for as long as I did before I got married, I never got the idea to just withdraw socially. And if it had been a thing like it is today, you might remember the men going their own way thing, which might still be a thing. I might have signed up for something like that. Good thing I didn't, because I wanted to get married, and I knew I needed to get married. And so when I see articles like this about social withdrawal, there's going to be side effects. One of them is lack of getting married. And now they're saying, you just tend to have lower testosterone when you're isolating yourself. I think if you get married, you go to work, for your family, you have children, if you're young enough, all of those things are good. When you're married, you should have anything but long periods of isolation. That just isn't good at all. So this is just an article about a growing trend about social isolationism, especially among young men, and that's not what we want to hear about here on Love Beyond the Sea.